Hey guys, it's been a while, but I am back. I was just like watching the previous video and I was like, oh, we're gonna do videos every week, and then radio silence because life decided to kick my. All right, let's move on. Um, I am a bit sick, so please bear with me. I moved from Florida to Georgia, where I was born and raised, and like I was living in Florida for about 3 to 4 years, and so my body is just not used to the different seasons and the cold weather anymore. So please bear with me. So let's just jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about serving the story and how important it is to always serve the story no matter what. What do I mean by that? I mean being true to not only your characters, but your overall story. What is your message? What are you trying to say? And are your characters' actions a reflection of that? So before we get too deep into the video, I do want to put out there that I am very unconventional when it comes to filmmaking. I am not of the belief that one size fits all in anything, and so that's why I believe the most groundbreaking projects in any industry are the ones that think outside the box. Think The Matrix or Apple when they released the iPhone for the first time. However, I do think it's important to learn the fundamentals because in storytelling, the fundamentals are crucial because people have been telling stories since the form of communication, and what interests people about storytelling hasn't changed. What's important to understand is that as artists, what we do is mimic the human experience. We give or bring life to human emotions. So think monsters when you're scared. Most of the creatures we fear aren't real, but the feelings we get when we think about them are. And that hasn't changed and probably never will. You learning the basics of storytelling is beneficial because it will always be the same for a story, which is to make people feel something. Just how you do it is where you can really shine. So it's important to tell the story that you want to tell and serve the story, regardless of outside influences, regardless of if it's the popular choice or not, because at the end of the day, you want to walk away with a project that you're proud of. Let's get into some examples, and we're going to start off with an example of not serving the story. This may be unpopular, but objectively, this is a blatant example of not serving the story. That is the beginning of season 4 with Damon and Elena's relationship. That was definitely a move to please the audience. Now let's talk about why this didn't serve the story. In the end of season 3, Elena chose Stefan because that's where her heart truly lied. She loved him the most, which makes sense because of everything that had been through in the previous seasons. Season 4, episode 1, she tells Stefan that it was the best choice she made. Then, the next episode, she was basically like, never mind. Like, what? It was just so jarring and made no sense. It made so little sense that the writers started trying to change the past. Instead of giving Damon and Elena their own story, they made the necklace that Stefan gave Elena a staple in her and Damon's relationship. Another huge thing they did was change Elena's character to make it more feasible for her to be with Damon. What I mean by that is, Elena was no longer who she was. Yes, she turned into a vampire, and that does bring about a sort of change, but also, according to the show's lore, is that when you're a vampire, it magnifies who you are. And so, nothing about who Elena became after she became a vampire was related to who she was before she became a vampire. And so that type of writing is just what happens when you make decisions that don't go with the story and are just doing things because it's the popular decision. Everybody wanted Damon and Elena to be together. And if they would have done it organically, I think their relationship could have been one for the stars. I think Damon and Elena, yes, they had some good chemistry. And so, doing it organically is how you serve the story as well. And what I mean by doing it organically, I mean like maybe her and Stefan could have just broken up and her and Damon grew closer. The problem is They didn't treat Elena and Damon's relationship like they treated Stefan and Elena's relationship, with respect. Their relationship was basically Damon being reckless, Elena forgiving him, and then sex. There wasn't really any substance, which is sad because both characters are very complex and the way they love is very complex. And that would have been great if they had tapped into that once they put them together. They could have even had them talk about or celebrate where they are now. Elena could have said something like, I never thought I would like you after you broke my brother's neck over a temper tantrum. That's out of pocket, but it's a part of their story. It's a hurdle that they had to get over. And another thing that they always did in the writing was say, hey, Damon challenges Elena, Elena challenges Damon to be a better person. And they never really did that. In my opinion, they regressed each other. Damon didn't really change because of Elena or Stefan because they would initially get upset, but they would constantly forgive him and always make excuses for him. When you don't truly challenge someone and you always make excuses for their behavior, then they won't really change. And this is like a total sidebar, but the reason Damon changed is definitely a video that I want to do and maybe will. So now let's get back on topic. They even poked fun at their own writing in season 6 when Kai trashed Elena for her bad decisions. I'm not sure if this was their plan all along, but the execution is what made it seem fan serving, and their lack of respect for both characters just made it seem inorganic and like a shut up, here you go to the fans that wanted them together, even though they were clearly incompatible, which is why they had to change Elena's personality. Let's move on to an example of when serving the story works. This may be another unpopular opinion, but Bad Olivia from Scandal is a great example of serving the story. There was a point in Scandal where the main character, Olivia, went from the good guy to the villain. This choice was good because it made sense. There were so many things in place that made Olivia's progression to the dark side, so to speak, the most logical one. Example number one, her father. Papa Pope is the head of B613, the secret organization that covertly runs the United States. They have committed countless atrocities around the world, including bringing down entire regimes and assassinating world leaders. Example number two, her mother. She was a literal terrorist who committed major crimes in her own right. So, throughout her life, she was raised in deceit and she just didn't know it. She found out after she was an adult, after she was already engrossed in a world full of power players making decisions and fixing messes and crimes done by the most powerful people in the world. And you kind of have to wonder why someone who had a relatively good upbringing would be attracted to a world like that. And again, she didn't know why, because she didn't know who her parents really were at the time. The only thing she knew was her father's love for the Republic, but that darkness was always in her through the familial bond, genetics, and all that type of stuff. I think the main thing that was communicated and communicated well is that you can't expect to play with fire for so long and think that you're not going to eventually be engulfed by the flames. And there were so many times where we saw the pressure of everything really getting to her and overwhelming her. And so her eventually breaking and becoming like the people whose mistakes she fixed and like her parents was inevitable. And I'm sure just dealing with things like that, it chips away at you. It chips away at who you are in your core. She was also so good at it that it almost seemed at times that she was trying to fix parts of herself that were like that, but she just ended up losing. So, this is a great example of setting the tone, laying the groundwork, and letting the story naturally progress. And let's also not forget about her getting kidnapped. And we all know what happened to her kidnapper. So, it was just trauma on top of trauma. And she got to the point where she couldn't fight anymore. And the people she fought so hard for all those years prior had to hold her up and try to bring her back. This is what you want to do when writing. Let the story speak for itself and let it go. It won't always be liked, it won't always be understood, but that's art. Everybody's going to take their own interpretation away from it anyway. So why not just be an artist and do what you want to do, say what you want to say, feel how you want to feel, and let the audience take from it what they want. So in closing, always write what makes sense to the story, not what's popular. You can, but only if it's done right, because things change all the time. But make sure it's properly done and still gives the story what you're hoping to tell. Please let me know what you think about this video. Also, give me some examples you found where you feel like writers weren't serving the story. Give me some questions that you want answered that can help you. I will respond to let you know I'm going to make it, and I will make the video. Just make sure you give me a little bit of time to write it and get it together, because I do have a schedule and videos are made in advance. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.